So you guys may have seen me make a fantasy bingo TBR over the years, and now we have Romantasy bingo, which is like, oh, chef's kiss, incredible. This is created by Cassidy from Covers with Cassidy, and I am so thrilled that she did this because like this is my bread and butter. This is what I want to be reading, and I cannot wait to make a TBR for this. So let me share with you guys what I'm planning to read. We are stacked with new releases and new finds, honestly, because a lot of these I did have to do a little bit of digging to figure out what would fit, which is my favorite way to make a TBR. I love finding out about new things, so she definitely hit the mark there. There is going to be an easy mode or a regular mode as well as a hard mode that you have to do both of in order to hit. I personally am going to be trying to hit hard mode for every prompt, so if it's not hitting hard mode, I will let you know. There are a couple that I'm just a little bit stuck on, so I will want your recommendations as well. Oh, of note, this is going to be running from November 1st of 2025 to November 1st of 2026, so you have the last couple of months of this year and pretty much all of next year to complete it. So our first bingo square is a new release that was published in the year that you read it, as well as a debut author. So for this one, I'm going to go with To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. I was thinking about Starside, but Starside by Alex Astor is not a debut author. It's her debut adult, but not her debut book. But To Cage a Wild Bird is Brooke Fast's first book. And that just is wild to me because I've already heard so many good things about it. It did come out in 2025 for the audiobook and ebook, which is the formats that I will be reading it in, as well as I will be getting the physical book in November. The technical physical book does not come out until March of 2026, but I still feel like it counts because of the way the publishing was done. And I don't know why they did it that way, but they did. Anyway, this is a dystopian romance romantasy, which I have been dying for more of since I read Silver Elite, and I'm so excited to have another one. It is a prison setting, and I think she has to complete some trials in order to get out of the prison. It's enemies to lovers. I am so excited for this book. I've had it sitting on my want to read on my TBR for so long, but I think it's gonna be a 5-star. So I just keep putting it off because of course, naturally, I'm scared of my 5-star reads. I don't know why I do this, but I do. But I'm really glad that I have like an excuse to put it on the TBR and to get this book read because I think it's gonna be incredible, and I plan to actually read it in the month of November. We already have one that I need help with, and that is Hidden Identity, with the hard mode being a not royalty. So she can't be like a hidden princess or something like that. He can't be like a secret king or secret prince, and I'm stuck. So do you guys have any suggestions of a book for this? I could do like the last book in the Holly Renee series, but that it does not fit the hard mode. So if you have a suggestion for this, please leave it down in the comments because I have been struggling, and that's one of the like last ones that I needed for my TBR, so I figured I would just let you guys help me out. Then we're moving on to Take Down the Systems, and the hard mode for this one is that it is a dystopian setting. So I think Cage a Wild Bird would also fit in this as well, but I'm going to be using Broken Dove, which is the sequel to Silver Elite. I loved Silver Elite when I read it. I just thought it was so much fun and so different than what we're getting in the romantasy space right now, and I ate up every second of it, so I'm really excited to get to the sequel. I also think the sequel is going to focus a little bit more on the like dystopian bringing down the man type thing than book one did, which is the only complaint that I really had with book one, is I wanted more of that. So I'm excited to see what the second book brings. I think it's going to flesh out the world in such an incredible way. Then we have a BIPOC author, and the hard mode for this one is that there are flowers on the cover. I think I'm going to go with Our Vicious Oaths by N.E. Davenport. I actually have an arc of this one. I've had it for a little while, and it just sounds really, really good, but I don't know why I haven't read it yet. I originally read, what is her other series? It's like a dystopian series as well that might actually fit for the Take Down the System prompt. But anyway, The Blood Trials, and I loved the first book, and then the second book just really didn't get a lot of reviews, so I never actually read it. But I'm excited to read this like more romantasy leaning, because that one was definitely more sci-fi, little less romance. This one is marketed as a romantasy. We have a warrior princess and a vengeful king from rival fae courts, and they form an alliance to take down the merciless despot. Our princess doesn't want anything to do with politics. She is a warrior first and foremost, which I think I'm going to absolutely love, and she is bound since infancy to be betrothed to the High King, the ruler of all dominions, and she doesn't have any choice in what men have chosen for her. She's repulsed by the idea. She decides to spend her last night of freedom in the arms of a dangerous stranger. That's giving like House of Bane and Blood vibes. I love it. But on her wedding day, the special forces attack. Her father is killed. The new king slays the High King and takes her hostage back to his land. So there's a lot of like elements to this that are all of my buzzwords, and I cannot wait to read it. This one has like some pretty purple flowers on the cover, and I think it's going to be really, really good. Then we have a book written in first person, and the hard mode for this one is that it is a new to you author. For this one, I'm going to be going with Air of Illusion by Madeline Taylor. I did look at the sample of it, and it looks like it is in first person from what I could originally tell. I don't think it would flip between like first and third person, and I've never read anything from Madeline Taylor before. I actually think she may be a debut author as well. This is a romantasy involving like a Grim Reaper, and I have just had my eye on it ever since I heard somebody on TikTok talk about it, and then it actually got picked up by a publisher before I was able to read it. But I've since gotten an ARC, and it is coming out relatively soon, so I'm finally gonna get the chance to pick it up. Our next prompt is a book that the title is like blank of blank, and the hard mode for this one is that it does not feature fae. That is a very like common, I feel like, type of titling in romantasy, so I love that she included it in here. So for this one, I'm gonna go with Ship of Spells by H. Leighton Dixon, I think is how you say that. It comes out in November, and I love the cover of this. It looks so cool. It has a different like vibe to it, where I think it's set entirely on the water and is involving like pirates and a sentient ship, which sounds really cool and just very different. We have a war-scarred mage, a sentient ship, and a secret that could drown empires. When Ensign Bren is rescued from the wreckage of our first naval post, she experiences death or disgrace. Instead, she awakes aboard the Touchstone. Now she carries a secret that everyone wants. She's caught between privateers, princes, spies, and she knows that each choice could sink her future or set the sea on fire. It just sounds different, and I think different is exactly what I'm in the mood for right now. It's not giving me the usual fairy fae vibes. I don't really know how much the like elven lore is gonna play into it, but I'm definitely intrigued. Okay, we have an indie to trad pipeline. Everything that I'm wanting to read or read the first book of is getting picked up, and I'm like, please keep the covers the same at least. But the hard mode for this one is that it needs to be a sequel. I think I'm gonna go with A Court of Lies and Deceit by Marion Blackwood. This is the third book in the Empire, Flame and Thorns series that was recently picked up by a new publishing Scarlet Press. I want to say the third book was actually indie when it came out. I don't know if that was a requirement for this prompt. I'll definitely go back and look at Cassidy's original video, and you should as well. But I think that this would count for this one. I have been needing to continue this series for a while. I read book 2 and then just never moved on, and book 4 is literally about to come out, so I definitely need to get on it. It involves dragon shifters and the fae that essentially tried to imprison them. Then there was a war, the dragon shifters took back over, and now the fae are essentially imprisoned to the dragon shifters. And we have a girl that is trying to prove herself to the rebellion, and so she agrees to go and do this like trials thing where if you win, you get freedom and can go to other lands, and she thinks that she is going to be able to better serve the rebellion if she's able to do this. But in the process, she meets one of the dragon commanders, and he doesn't like her and will do anything that he possibly can to keep her from succeeding. Definitely enemies to lovers, has a lot of good one-liner banter, so if that's something that you enjoy, I would recommend picking it up. It's a lot of fun, and I like the way that the plot has continued to evolve throughout book 2, and I'm excited to read book 3. Then we have Rep Matters, and for this one, the hard mode is an Own Voices. I love this prompt. I think it's so cool that she included this, but I also wanted to make sure that I was like doing it right and definitely hitting the hard mode correctly. So if you have any suggestions for this one, like Fourth Wing and stuff like that, I have already read, but if you have more suggestions, please let me know. I would love to see those down in the comments. For this one, I'm going to be going with Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I texted Monica and I was like, does this fit? Pretty sure this fits. And she said, yes, absolutely. This is an Arthurian legend YA book that she said does have a lot of romance in it. When her mother dies in an accident, Bree Matthews wants nothing to do with her family memories or childhood home. So she ends up going to a bright high schoolers like boarding school until she witnesses a magic attack on her very first night at campus. She is a person of color main character, which I think is incredible, and I believe that Tracy Dion is as well. So this would fit the Own Voices prompt. I've heard so many good things about this series, and I can't believe that I haven't read it yet. I think it was supposed to be 3 books and now it's going to be 4, so now is the perfect time to read it before the 4th and final book comes out. Then we have Start a New Series, and the hard mode for this one is that the author writes in multiple genres, which is really cool. I think I'm going to be going with Ravenminder by Lindsay Cummings. She actually wrote The Murder Complex, which was I can't remember if it's a young adult thriller or an adult thriller, but either way, it was a thriller. So she writes in the thriller genre, and now she is starting to write in the romantasy genre. This one actually comes out in a couple of days. For some reason, I was thinking it was 2026, but it actually comes out on October 23rd from the time that I'm filming this. The sky is a dangerous place for a girl without wings, and our female main character spent 2 years at the Ravenminder of Renegard, in which she was chained in the prison's Tower Avery. She pays the debts of the man she called uncle who rescued her after shadow wolves killed her parents. Excuse me, what? Incredible. She's haunted by dreams of her death at the hands of an unknown warrior. This apparently unknown warrior arrives to recruit her for the fight against the enemy, the acolyte, and when her affinity with birds reveals itself, she's given a new mission to help the prince tame one of the acolyte's captured ravens. Is that how you say that? It's like a giant raven that's also half panther. This just sounds so cool. If you know me, you know that I love a book with creatures in it. I think that that is one of my favorite things to read in Romantasy, where we have something like Shield of Sparrows and there are creatures and monsters involved. So when I saw that part of this book, I basically said, enough said, yes please, I am set, and I cannot wait to pick it up. Our next prompt is an urban setting, and the hard mode is a secondary world, which means that it is not set in our world. For this one, I'm going to be going with Half City by Kate Golden. This is by the same author that did, what's that book called? Oh, A Dawn of Onyx. I have not finished that trilogy. I really need to, but I enjoyed the first book quite a lot, and now she's coming out with a new urban fantasy series set at Harker Academy for the Deviant Defense. Keep your daggers sharp and your wits even sharper. Our main character is a demon hunter, which I think is so fun, and ever since her father's murder, she has been forced to hunt deviants alone. Everyone, including her family, sees her as an outsider, but she crosses paths with a dangerous and alluring demon, and the reformed deviant tells her of a school for people that is just like her. But she has a secret, of course she does, one that not even her new friends at Harker can know about. It is an adult series, but it kind of gives me like that new adult vibes. I love an academy setting. I think the demon hunting thing is so fun. It is definitely like set in more of a city academy setting, so I'm excited to pick this up. I hope it's really good because it just sounds so much fun. Okay, our next prompt is Ghosts and Ghouls, and for this hard mode, it's that the love interest is one. So for this one, I went with Vengeful by Courtney L. Wynn. This came out last year, I think, and then got picked up by a traditional publisher and just came back out again. I love the new cover. These like pastel colors is so incredible. I know that it has trials and that I think she can speak with ghosts, but she is basically at the service of her father or stepfather, and she is like awaiting her throne, I think. And then we have Dagon, who is the king of Zar, but he was killed by her family 10 years ago. Now he's a half ghost, able to phase between his human and spirit form. So this does count for hard mode because he is part ghost. And I just haven't read a lot like that. Phantasma is the only other thing that I can think of that I've read that's very similar to that. And I think it's going to be such a fun trope to involve with the trials. I've heard incredible things about it, so I'm really excited to pick it up. Moving on to A Voice Inside Your Head, and the hard mode for this one is Not an Animal Companion. I'm going to be using Brimstone by Callie Hart for this one. It is one of my favorite tropes of all time. Like, if you tell me that that is a microtrope in a book, I will automatically read it, not knowing anything else about it. And Quicksilver was one of my favorite books of last year, so I will definitely be picking up Brimstone like the second it comes out. I'm assuming that will still be a big part of book 2 because it was such a big part of book 1. I'm not really going to tell you a lot about what Quicksilver is about, other than we have a girl that ends up from her lands into a strange land. She meets Kingfisher, who is supposed to train her but doesn't really want to, and her powers need to be utilized in order to safely cross portals to different worlds. Moving on to a friend rec, and the hard mode for this one is a Covers with Cassidy recommendation. I'm going to leave this one blank for right now because I think I've mostly read the things that she's recommended to me. If she says to read it, I'm like, okay, sure, and then I immediately pick it up. That's how that works. And so I haven't actually got anything at the moment that I can think of to read from her, but I'm sure that there either is one or she will read something and I will be like, yes, I'm sat. So I will be filling this in at a later date. I'm going to cash in on this later. Then we have Book Talk Hype, and the hard mode for this one is that it is still indie at the time of reading it. This is going to be a little hard because I don't know exactly when I'm reading it, and these books are being picked up by publishers left, right, and center. At the moment, I'm going to use Ascended by Greenwich and Lennox. This is the spin-off series to Riftborn, which I liked but didn't completely love, but I've heard Duskbound is like incredible, and Ascended is getting so much hype, like literally so much hype. So at the moment, it is everywhere, all over TikTok. I cannot scroll from 5 minutes without seeing it, and it has not been picked up by a traditional publisher. This could end up changing if it does before I read it, but I just know that this has trials, and I think that there's like a necromancy part to it. A lot of people are reading it for spooky season. I don't need to know a whole lot about it. I have been influenced and I will be reading it. Then we have a Forbidden Romance, and the hard mode for this one is a Not Enemies to Lovers. This one's a little bit harder because I gravitate toward enemies to lovers. Honestly, that is my preferred, and so I was like, okay, don't think enemies to lovers, don't think enemies to lovers. I think for this one I'm going to be going with The Exorcism of Fairies or Neverthorn by Shannon Mayer. Neverthorn, though, I think could end up being an enemies to lovers, so that's why I'm going to put The Exorcism of Fairies like on this TBR officially. Both of them are teacher-student relationships, which in my mind feels like a forbidden romance, something that you're not supposed to be doing. In The Exorcism of Fairies, it is definitely more of a gothic setting. And we have the daughter of a mortician that is studying at Trinity College in Dublin. I also love things set in Ireland for some reason. He is her morbid anatomy professor, and the Fae are possessing the good people of Dublin. So that gives me Dark Fever vibes, which is one of my favorite books to ever exist. And I'm scared to reread it because I'm afraid I won't like it as much, but that's a different topic for a different day. So I just was like, okay, I think you can talk me into reading this one, even though it's slightly out of my comfort zone, just simply because of that right there. It does say that they have forbidden feelings for one another. It's set in 1993. I'm intrigued. Next up, we have the Trials prompt, and for the hard mode for this one is an academy setting. So I think I'm gonna pick up The Ordeals by Rachel Greenlaw. This is one that I just kind of have briefly seen floating around. It actually just came out, and I haven't really heard a lot about it, but it does sound very interesting. We have an illusionist that is competing in a series of deadly trials for a spot at an elite magical college. That is, if another hopeful doesn't kill her first. Deadly trials are so much fun. Academy setting, enough said. That's all I need to know. It sounds really good, and it's been getting really good reviews on Goodreads. I just haven't really heard a lot of my mutuals talk about it yet. We have 2+ love interest, and the hard mode for this one is that it is not a love triangle. So I actually am gonna go with one that is not yet out, and I really haven't heard anybody talk about, and that is Wicked Onyx by Debbie Cassidy. The cover just popped up on Amazon for me, and I was like, excuse me, that is stunning. So I decided that I wanted to look into it more. And this is another magical academy where we have a girl that is cursed and powerless, and the last Onyx must unravel the dark family secrets and navigate the dangerous alliances to reclaim her legacy and make those who betrayed her pay. You don't graduate from Nightbridge Academy, you survive it. She has 2 love interests in this one. She said that she has a complicated amount of feelings that are stirred by 2 men bound to the very institution she's come to destroy. One sees too much yet says too little, the other is steady, protective, and always in her corner. I don't know if this hits the hard mode, to be honest. I don't know if it's a love triangle between them or if it's going to be more poly. The tags don't really say on Goodreads, and since it's not out yet, it's hard to know. So if you have a recommendation for this prompt, please give it to me. I would love to know more. Like I said, I think Why Choose would fit well for this, but it sounds really intriguing, and if it's poly, I'm so excited because I don't feel like we have enough of those books, and I absolutely want more of them. So if you know about this book, let me know, or if you have other suggestions, let me know as well. Moving on to a single POV, and the hard mode for this one is a book that was published more than 5 years ago. So let me bring out my superpower, which is old school paranormal romance. And gonna pick up a book that I really should have read when I read a ton of these like 10 years ago. Paranormal romance was like my jam. That was my vibe. I read so many of them, which is why Dark Fever is one of my favorite series. And then I kind of fell off when it became less popular, and now it's making a comeback, and I'm so thrilled about that. So I think I'm gonna go with Magic Bites by Alana Andrews. I recently read her one of her other series with Nevada. I can't remember what that book was called at the moment. Burn for You? And it wasn't my favorite, but I am willing to try something else from the author duo. I believe this is a husband and wife duo, and this is probably their most popular series. It has a lot of different magical creatures. I think we've got an investigation, which is very common in these type of paranormal romance series. So I'm excited to try it. I don't know why I never read this back when I was reading a lot more of them, but there's definitely something along those lines. Hopefully I can figure out to read. I'm not 150% this is a single POV. There's no real easy way for me to tell without either having read it or owning the book, which I do not currently, but a lot of these style books, I feel like the first one is usually a single point of view. So hopefully this one is. If you know, tell me if I've got it wrong and I will find an alternative option, but I am making a really educated guess that this is gonna fit. Moving on to a court setting with the hard mode animal on the cover. This was one of the hard ones for me, but I think I finally figured it out. And we're going with Of Ravens and Ruin by Eliza Rain. I read Of Wings and Ruin? No. Of Blade and Wings a few weeks ago and actually really enjoyed it. The writing style was so easy and it read so fast. So I'm excited to pick up something else from her. This one has ravens on the cover and it is definitely a court setting. It sounds very like samey to a lot of different romantasy, but it also sounds really fun. We have a defiant human woman, a dark fae prince, 2 enemies bound to a marriage that could destroy their world. Marriage of convenience, arranged marriage, one of my favorite tropes, so I'm basically there. We have a deadly world shrouded in secrets and the desperate need to keep her own hidden. So this is the Shadowbound Queen series. It's inspired by Vikings, which which does not always work for me. I'm not gonna lie, I don't usually like a Viking setting, but the like synopsis to this doesn't just scream Vikings at me. So I think if it's kind of like Vikings inspired but not super Vikings, it'll still be okay. Moving on to A Whole New World, which is a portal fantasy book, and the hard mode for this one is a reimagining or a retelling. I had to do a little digging for this one as well because I feel like the obvious answer is Bonded by Thorns, but of course I've already read that, so I needed something else. And I found a Peter Pan retelling called Carrion by Amara Calderini. Is that how you say that? We have a world devastated by a plague, and Willa has spent her entire life on the run from the mysterious illness that destroys the ability to dream, and a secret that would get her imprisoned forever. So one night she falls headfirst into a world shaped by darkness and dreams and wild magic. So now she's trying to make a bargain that will determine the fate of both of their worlds. So to me that does indicate that she had to like go through some kind of portal in order to get to that Fae world. And it says that it is a Peter Pan retelling. So while Carrion is based on Neverland lore, the events and characters are different from those that you've heard of before, which is my preferred retelling, reimagining kind of thing. I don't love for it to be a direct pull, but I do like when I can see the hints in there. And so I think this one will be perfect for me. And I've actually heard incredible things about it. Okay, my battery is about to die, so we're going to quickly go through the next few. We have Reluctant Allies to Lovers, and the hard mode for this one is a Marriage of Convenience. For this one, I'm going to go with a Kingdom of Shadow and Ash. I actually borrowed this one from Cassidy because she's the first person that I ever heard talk about it. We have 8 kingdoms that have not spoken for 100 years after destroying the land of witches and turning the kingdom into a wasteland until now. So now we have our main character that is going to try to end the feud between the kingdoms, but she's not looking to conquer the prince's heart. She wants to stab it. If Mal kills the Prince of Fire, she will end the curse no one believed to be true. The witches want revenge, and everyone seems to be keeping secrets in the land of fire and dragons. It just sounds very fun, very cool. I'm super excited to give it a try. This cover like screams badass female main character, and I'm living for it. Then we have a one-word title in the hard mode for this one is a gothic book. I think I'm gonna go with Enigma by Rue Nix. This was like loosely on my radar, but I've seen a lot of people reading it and talking about it recently and loving it. We have a twisted Hades and Persephone meets a scorching dark academia romance, the tale of love and obsession between two rivals. All I know about this one is that it's dark academia, we have enemies to lovers, and that it is just supposed to be a really quick gothic read, and that's all I really need to know. Then we have a shifter romance, and the hard mode for this one is Not Wolves. I'm going to be going with a Twilight of Embers by Tessa Hale for this one. I have started the spin-off series that is Wolves, but I wanted to go back and read the original series, which is Dragon Shifter, so it will definitely fit for this prompt. I loved her writing style, so I'm really hoping to enjoy this one as well, and it is Why Choose, one of my favorites. Then we have a weapon on the cover, and the hard mode is a powerless main character. I will admit, I struggled just a touch with this one, but I think I'm gonna go with Things Gods Break by Abigail Owen. Monica and I were talking about this and trying to figure out if Games Gods Play was a powerless female main character, and I think that it was, and she was like given special things to get her through the trials. This has like 2 axes on the cover, and if that's true, if we are remembering correctly, then this book would count for the prompt. But if you have another suggestion, please tell me, because I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna meet hard mode, and if it doesn't, I'm gonna need to switch it out. So if you can help me, let me know. This is a Greek gods inspired story where a girl has to complete in trials in order to help Hades be the king of the gods for the next 100 years. The last prompt is a chunky series, so 4 or more books, and the hard mode is that it is a series interconnected with another. So this one is gonna be like the Mistborn series and the Way of Kings, how they're both like connected together, but they're not the same series. So I'm going to be going with Tempest of Wrath and Vengeance by Melissa K. Rorick. This is the 3rd book in the Reign of Shadow and Ending series, which is connected to the Lady of Darkness series. Wouldn't surprise me if she writes something else in that world as well, and it is the book that I am up to. This one is dark, it has lots of triggers, so please check that. And we have a girl that essentially becomes bonded to a guy of a lot of power in order for him to use her as a power source, but she doesn't want that and ends up having to go and deal with the repercussions of that instead. It is not like your traditional romance. There is romance in it, but it is not what you would normally expect. So definitely, like I said, look it up before going in, but it is a really good, different series, and I love the way Melissa K. Rorick writes. Okay guys, so I managed to do it. My battery is flashing at me, but we got through my Romantasy bingo TBR. I love this so much. I'm so glad that Cassidy created it, so please go down to the description box and check out her announcement video as well as her TBR, because there are so many more good books to be had. If you have any suggestions for anything that I was struggling with, please let me know down in the comments below. As always, thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.